And that wraps up another 48 hours of soil conservation talk. Up next is the show you've all been waiting to see, Nyland After Dark. The mountain biker extraordinaire behind the ingenious loft and shove and life in the lead concepts. Madison just can't seem to get enough of Scott Nyland. Now, many of you have called in during the course of the season to Nyland After Dark, wondering, what the hell happened, Scott? How does someone take a championship season like that and then just crash out? That's not loft and shove. That's not life in the lead. Well, tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have answers, because we're going to have the one, the only, the great Scott Nyland in studio with us. Welcome, Scott Nyland. It is great to have you in studio.
Of course it is.
Let's get right down to it. People all around Greater Madison area keep calling in and wondering what happened. We saw the BSN video and we figured there's no way Scott Nyland would let these guys get the best of him. Let's have a listen.
Our number one priority for 2014, that's to beat Scott Nyland.
It's a vendetta. We're coming for you, Scott Nyland. We had race after race, another embarrassing failure. What's going on? Where's the focus? What about life in the lead?
Loft and shove, life in the lead, these aren't things we just say, and it certainly doesn't mean that you're first on race day. This is giving it all you got, whether it's your sport or your job. It's just a lifestyle. Running your bike downhill, hitting rocks, pinning it into berms, letting go of the brakes and flying off of jumps. These are things that the BSN group knows nothing about.
Oh my God, I'm so fast! Oh, I'm gonna die. Ah. That is a deep ravine. Narrow bridge, but I crushed it. Did you see that's like a 10-foot drop?
Whoa, those guys are seriously... They couldn't mountain bike their way out of a wet paper bag. Listeners are lighting up our phone line, so let's take our first caller. We've got Kitten Lover out of Fitchburg. Kitten Lover, you're on with Scott Nyland.
Hey, thanks for taking my call, Jackson. Man, heck of a season. A little bit of everything out there, except for a Scott Nyland victory. To me, Scott, you seemed really distracted out there. Like their focus just wasn't there all season. Word on the street is it had something to do with a woman. Any truth to that?
Well, let me address the first part of your comment. I'd like to point out that the only race that really mattered, I destroyed Christopher Richmond and Daryl Shepman.
Which race was that?
Super D, downhill, all day, baby, something that they're allergic to. As to your question, I completely reject the idea of the distraction. It doesn't hold water. As to the notion that it had something to do with a woman, I'm Mother Truckin' Scott Nyland. Who do you think you're talking to?
Our next caller is Rich Christopherson from the university. Go ahead, Rich.
That's an odd name.
Yeah, it's Dutch. Listen, me and my friends never thought you had it in you to beat Daryl and Christopher. We're just surprised you can find an excuse to pull yourself out of bed day after day.
Does your mom know you're using her cell phone? If your life was even an eighth as awesome as mine, I'd say you'd be living life in the lead. But something tells me that you're spiteful and all you're trying to do is slow people down in the single track and send Farmville requests on Facebook. What are you crying over there, Rich? Is that a little too close to home for you?
Ma, the loft and shove guy is being mean to me.
Thanks for calling.
And that's a good reminder, kids. Don't forget to take your medication before calling in. Our next caller is Don from Wars. Don, you're on with Scott Nyland.
Yeah, see, well...
Sir, you're going to have to take the marbles out of your mouth. We cannot understand you.
Well,
It took me 30 years of constant effort to get people to treat each other kindly. You come in with your fancy loft and shove, like lost and stoned. Undo all that work in just one short little season. Yeah. I just wanted you to know that wars will never be the same because of your shenanigans and your tomfoolery.
Well, is that a good thing?
You heard me?
Well, I guess if you're in the Mountain Bike Hall of Fame, you can say anything you want.
Don't you forget it.
Sir? Sir, wake up!
What? Where am I? Where are you? Well, what are you doing in my house? Get out of here.
Sir, you're still on the line with Nyland After Dark.
Of course I am.
Do you have a question for Scott?
Oh, yes. I do. Scott, now that you destroyed everything I've ever worked for, how are you going to wreak havoc on the rest of the world with the loft and shove and life in the lead lifestyle?
Well, Don, I'll probably be focusing my time on developing my lifestyle line of apparel in the global market. I'll continue to work on my business S&R remodeling, kicking ass, riding bikes for Team Magnus, being awesome, and mostly just kicking ass.
There you have it, Scott Nyland kicking ass. That's all the time we have. Thanks for everyone who called. Thank you so much, Scott Nyland. It's been wonderful to have you in studio. Do you have any final thoughts for our listeners?
Yeah, I guess I'd like to just throw out there that this season was pretty wonderful, even though I didn't get all the huge wins that I expected to get. There was a lot of really good, clean competition between all the different divisions. The camping and the hanging out, the camaraderie, getting there to race one in Iola and just excited to see the Wars family again after the winter layoff. The Camrock cookout was wonderful. I guess in looking at all the races and everything that went down, I guess I'm just going to have to kind of consider it a tie. BSN versus SN. We'll just go with a tie on that and call that good. And, say a big thanks to Don and Wars. They do a great job. Without it, I don't think I could really showcase my awesomeness and beat up on skinny guys like Chris and Daryl. I mean, look at the arm wrestling match that we had. It was pretty ugly. Anyway, we're going to call this season a tie, and 2015 Iola, we'll see you there, and we'll see what happens next.
This is good.